If you have been following Felix channel, you'll probably have seen his tutorial on overclocking. This time, we'll be talking about undervolting, which is entirely different from overclocking or underclocking. But here's the thing, in that overclocking tutorial, there's a hidden bit about voltage modification, and that is where our journey starts. Outside that tutorial, I don't see many people talking about how to actually do it. Most of the time, people just post the amazing temperatures they get after undervolting. Luckily, a few months ago, one Reddit user wrote a tutorial about it. So I'm using this as my guide to try undervolting for the first time. Warning. This video is definitely not a tutorial. I'm way too much of a newbie to teach this topic, so feel free to leave a comment if I got something wrong. Step 1. Get a PS3. There's no way I would use the Frankie I got last time as the guinea pig. So we'll be using this PS3 instead. Wait, you don't know how to read this? Come on, it's the level 1 DOM. It basically says Toshiba Bin 2 90nm RS6. This information might seem useless right now, but trust me, it's important later. Tearing down a PS3 is super time consuming. I spent more than 7 minutes just to get to the fatherboard. Look, what's that? It's a 3D printed cell bracer. With PCBWay, you just need to drag and drop your 3D design, choose the quantity and material, and bam, here's your creation. Not a big fan of 3D printing? Don't worry. Do you know PCBWay also makes PCBs? Who would have thought? That's how I got my crunchy, tasty Felix Tantalizer. Delicious. Step 2. RS6 voltage. Before you can undervolt your RS6, you first need to know what voltage it's running at. Only when you know the voltage, you can safely lower it to a smaller value. Here's the problem, you can't measure the voltage when the console is turned off. You have to do it when the console is running. So it's a sweaty, nerve-wracking job. One wrong move popping around a live circuit could destroy your console. That's why I'm setting it up carefully so that I can power on the fatherboard completely exposed like this. Okay, let's double check Felix's video to see where can we measure the voltage.
I like to measure it here, at the caps leading into the RSX.
Well, he's doing it on a slim model, that's why he could get the voltage there. The caps leading to the RS6 on my board should be the NEC tokens, so I need to measure the voltage like this. I still haven't turned on my console yet, so the reading is 0. Let's turn on the console and measure it again. I got 1.192, which is a common value for the 90nm RS6. Felix got a much lower value,
0.966 volts.
because his console has a 40nm RS6. Now we know our GPU is running at 1.192. To undervolt it, we can simply set it to a lower value, say 1.1. But how? Let's check with Felix again.
The buck controller receives a 6 or 8-bit binary code from the Syscon. That determines the voltage.
So there are two more components in the undervolting process, the Syscon and the butt controller. What? My English spelling is perfect. Instead of changing the voltage directly, we need to change the binary code on the Syscon, which will be sent to the butt controller. So basically, the butt controller changes its voltage depending on the binary code it receives. So what is the binary code we have in the console right now? According to Felix,
you don't need to do this.
Okay, let's do it. Step 3. Butt controller VID code. So where's the butt controller on the COK001? Based on Felix's video, it looks something like this. But I couldn't find anything looks like that on the board. So I got myself another board extracted from an L model silver color console. Okay, it's easy to find Syscon chip on this board. It looks exactly the same as the one in Felix's video. To measure the binary code, you can pop here. If you flip over the board, I think you can also pop here to get the binary code. But we are not interested in this model. Let's go back to our COK board. Based on the wiki page, this should be the Syscon chip. It looks totally different from the new Syscon chip. On the wiki page, if I search for RS6 VRM, I can actually find 6 pins related to VID. So we can get the binary code from pin L12, L13, N12, and blah blah blah. Based on the layout, you can find the 6 pins under the Syscon chip here. The problem is this is a BGA chip. How the heck do I get to the 6 pins below it? If we check the pin information again, we can see these 6 pins are connected to another chip, onsemi NCP5318. aka IC6201. If you search on the schematic diagram, you will find a match here. Since I only have -0 IQ, I might be completely 100% possibly wrong. So it's always better to double check with people who have 4-digit positive IQs. Finally, I know where the bug controllers are on the COK board. Let's have a closer look so we can find the datasheet for it. NCP5318. Found it. Let me show the pin layout side by side with the chip. As a person with -0 IQ, I need to rotate the layout 3 times to get a match. Genius. Okay, these 3 pins at the bottom are VID2, VID3, and VID4, and the 3 pins on the left are VID5, 0, and 1. Finally, we can measure the binary code. Let me practice before doing it on a live circuit. So instead of popping the legs, we can actually pop the tiny holes leading to the legs. It seems easy, let's do it. We are going to pop the holes in this order. VID4, 3, 2, and 105. Turn on the console. VID4 on. VID3 off. VID2 also off. Whoa, 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 my PS3 is taking off. Turn it off before it flies away. Phew, that was close. To prevent my PS3 from taking off and flying to another galaxy, I need to clamp down the board together with the fan. Let's check if my PS3 is still alive. Oh no, nothing is showing. Is it still running? I saw something on the screen. Ah, good, it's still alive. Let's pop the bug controller again. We were only halfway done. VID4 on. VID3 on. VID2 off. VID1 off. VID0 on. VID5 on. Now we know the binary code sent to the bug controller. We can check the table to see what is the actual voltage output. 110011 should be this one, 1.225 volt. Here's a summary of what we know so far. The Syscon is sending out the code 110011, and the bug controller is outputting 1.225 volt. The voltage travels around the board and finally becomes 1.192 when it arrives the NEC token, right before the RX6. To undervolt it, I will be changing the binary code in the Syscon to 111001. The bug controller will output 1.15 according to this table. Let's patch the Syscon. I have a new orange Mac Mini, and I'll be using it to patch the Syscon. First, create a virtual environment for the Syscon. I will name my environment PS3, and I will be using Python version 3.10. Once the environment has been created, go inside, so that if I mess up anything, it won't affect my Mac Mini. Let's run the Syscon program. If you don't have it, you can download it here. Oh, we need to install a few more Python packages before we can use the Syscon program. We are missing the package called crypto-do-me. No problem, just type pip install py crypto-do-me x. Then it will download and install the package for you. Now, run the Syscon program again. This time we're missing the PySerial package. We can simply copy and paste it to install everything, right? Let's try it. Whoa, that's fast. Okay, run the Syscon program. Yes, our Mac Mini is ready. Now we just need to connect our Mac to the PS3. Connect 4 wires here, RX, TX, ground, and DIAG. Next, connect this device to the Mac. Oh no, this thing is too big and the hole is too small. Let's use this USB hub that got me banned on eBay. Now go back to the Mac and run the Syscon program. We are already in the internal Syscon mode, so we can directly use CXRF. Log in using this command AUTH. It seems I have difficulty logging in. There are 3 things we can try. Number 1, check if the power supply has been connected and turned on. Number 2, check if the TX and RX connection is correct. If not, swap them. Number 3, check if the soldering is good or not. If not, we solder them. Usually, after checking and fixing all these common mistakes, you should be able to log into the Syscon. I don't know what's the problem, but it works now. Inside the Syscon, we can check the address 3111, which controls the binary code sent to the buck controller. We have the default value FF, that means no one has modified the voltage before. Now we will look at the table and change the value to the voltage we want. Oh, where can we get the table? Of course, it's from Felix again. This table is an Excel file, so I cannot open it on my browser. I don't have Excel on my Mac since I'm poor, so I can only open it with the free Apple software called Numbers. We have the binary code, but the Syscon is in hexadecimal, not binary. That's why we need to have this table to map the binary code into hexadecimal, so that we can change it in the Syscon. We want to change from 1.225 to 1.2, so I think we should change the value from 57 to 58 in Syscon. Type the command W31158 and click enter.
Hey, I'm the editor from the future. I hope you didn't take it as a tutorial and follow along so close, because I'm gonna screw up big by using this value. Do you notice what's wrong? Here's a hint. 1 in hexadecimal is 1 in binary. 2 in hexadecimal is 1 0 in binary. 3 is 1 1. 4 is 1 0 0. 5 is 1 0 1. By this logic, if we have 58 in hexadecimal, what is it in binary? The answer to this question is the reason why I screwed up. Anyhow, let's pretend we don't know anything yet and keep going with this mistake.
After changing the value in Syscon, we need to fix the checksum. After fixing the checksum, we can use this command bring up to turn on the console. Let's measure the voltage to see if we have successfully undervolted. I don't know why there's a beep sound here. Wait, 1.232. Isn't it even higher than the default value? Hold on a second. Let's change it back to the original value FF and double check the voltage. Did I measure anything wrong? Okay, bring up again. What's the voltage before undervolting? What the heck is this second beep? 1.2? Probably I measured something wrong, right? Let's double check here. Still 1.2, so I have a higher voltage after undervolting. How? I go back to the Syscon and try to undervolt it to an even lower value, from 1.225 to 1.175 using the hex value 59. Fix the checksum and turn on the console using the bring up command. Please be successful this time. What is the voltage? It's lower than before, but it's still higher than the default value. Okay, let's try it one more time with a slightly higher value. This time, 27, which corresponds to 1.1875 volt. Beep. Beep. What the heck? The voltage is only 0.8 and we have yellow light of death. Since we're already inside the Syscon, why not just check the error log? We have 101. This one might be the one I forcefully shut down the console when it tries to take off. And the new 1701 and 2120 are the new errors we get when the RS6 voltage is too low. Interesting. But it doesn't help solving any problem. So I turn to the Discord server where all the experts are. I explained my situation and waited for their reply. Meanwhile, I double checked the tutorial I've been following to see if I missed anything. And this sentence caught my eyes. 23 is the value for 1 volt. Hold on. Wait a second. Let me double check the table. 1 volt, where are you? Are you sure? My table says 35. I have a bad feeling about it. Did I download the wrong table? When I double check the actual value, I realize it's a function instead of a number. Maybe this software is calculating it wrong. So yeah, I ended up trading my personal information with the best American company, Michael Hart, just to look at the table in Excel. Finally! I think the table in Excel is correct. We have 23 being 1 volt, matching the tutorial on Reddit. I go back to the Discord server and no one says anything yet, so I ended up answering my own question. Truly -0 IQ move. Now we have the correct table, we should be able to undervolt it, right? Let's try 1.2 using the hex value 3A. Turn on the console using the bring up command. and measure the voltage next to the RS6. Yes! Undervolting successful! The voltage has decreased from 1.2 to 1.178. The next step is to put everything back and test the temperature. The first game we are going to test is The Last of Us. Look at the RS6 temperature. It climbs up quickly from 50s to 60s just by loading the game. This game can truly push your GPU to its limit. The screen on the left shows the temperature with the stock voltage, and the screen on the right is the temperature after undervolting. At first glance, we have the same temperature, but if you check the fan speed, the console on the right spends more time at a lower fan speed than the one on the left. So we do have a lower temperature even if we undervolting just a little bit. Next, we will test on GT6. GT6 is the perfect game to just test the console for a long time, because we have this demo mode that can loop forever. And this infinite demo loop is very similar to a human playing a game. We have loading screens where the console can take a small break, and we also have intensive gameplay. Again, we have the same temperature but a lower fan speed on the right hand side. So RS6 undervolting mod successful! If we can undervolt the RS6, we can also undervolt the cell processor, right? So join me on yet another disastrous journey undervolting the cell processor. We start by measuring the voltage, then double check the binary code in the buck controller. 1 1 0 0 0 1. After rearranging the numbers from VID 5 to VID 0, we have 111000. According to the table, it should be 1.25 volt. Well, since we are already in the Syscon, let's also undervolt the RS6 further from 1.2 to 1.15 volt. And for the cell processor, reduce it from 1.25 to 1.2. Don't forget to fix the checksum. Once everything is ready, send the bring up command to the console. Let's double check the voltage on the cell processor. Before it was 1.196, now it's 1.15. How about the RS6 voltage? From 1.178 to 1.129. We have double undervolting, and we have a very cool beginning for The Last of Us. A few minutes in, we are still in 20% fan speed, but the temperature only stabilized after 10 minutes or so. As I'm speaking, the temperature has gone up to 60 something already. So let's fast forward. After 10 minutes, the fan speed stays at 28% and never goes up. Before undervolting, the fan speed goes up to 32% from time to time. And look at the CPU temperature. It's only 64 degrees Celsius, 2 Celsius cooler than before. Now let's also check GT6. At the beginning, the temperature we have is higher than before. It's not a mistake. We have just tested The Last of Us without letting the console to cool down. That's why you should always test the game for at least 10 minutes to get a reliable temperature. So we will let it run for a long time. An hour later, we have this temperature at 28% fan speed, comparing to the 32% fan speed before undervolting. I'm sorry, it's not a fair comparison. It shows 40 minutes on the left, but 1 hour on the right. Anyhow, having a low temperature is good, but is the console stable? To answer this, I will play the game for at least 10 hours. By playing, I mean I will hop on my bed and close my eyes. GT6 will just play itself. Ugh, so bright. What's happening? Ugh, it's time to check the console. Great. 13 hours later, no fire, no explosion. The console is running fine, and the temperature is also cool. Here are all the temperature data I have so far. So, are we satisfied? Of course not! We will continue undervolting until we break the console. Based on the Reddit tutorial, we can undervolt the RS6 to as low as 1 volt. So we will also do the same by setting both the CPU and GPU to 1 volt. Now I think you know the drill. Change the hex value, fix the checksum, and then bring up the console. Good, yellow light of death. Based on the bring up information, we have these 4 Syscon errors: 1701, 14FF, 1601, and 2120. I guess that basically means both the CPU and GPU don't have enough voltage. If 1 volt is too low, let's raise the voltage to 1.1 for both the CPU and GPU. With all this typing on the terminal, I feel like I have become a hacker. Okay, let's bring up the console and see if we still get yellow light of death. Do nothing? I forgot to turn off the console. Now we should be able to turn it on. What exactly is this single beep? Does anyone know about it? Let me know what's that in the comment below. I can see the screen. I think it's okay. Just now, we have both the CPU and GPU set to 1 volt, and we have yellow light of death. Because our goal here is to undervolt our console as much as we can, I want to keep the cell processor at 1.1 and lower the RS6 back to 1 to see if it works. The hex value 23 is for 1 volt. Fix the checksum. Before that, double check the hex values. 3E for cell, 23 for RS6. Checksum also fixed. Now bring up the console again. It works. Then let's lower the cell processor back to 1.05 to see if it also works. Set the hex value to 21 on the cell. Fix the checksum and bring up the console. Yellow light of death. We have the Syscon errors 1701, 14FF, and 1601. So these Syscon errors are related to the cell processor. If 1.05 is too low for the cell processor, how about raising it just a tiny little bit to 1.075? Okay, I think it works. Then let's just test the console. Oh no, what happened? I got 3 beeps the moment I plug- Oops! I got 3 beeps the moment I plug in the power. Oh my god, did I break the console? It's the same 3 beeps. Let's go back to the Syscon and check what's wrong. What? Do nothing? Fatal off state? It sounds super bad. How about the shutdown command? Cannot clear fatal error state because of unrecoverable error. Oh my god, this console is dead. Hold on, let's check the checksum. Wait, I still haven't fixed the checksum? I remember I did. Let's rewatch it again. I see. I should fix it with 96.2F, but somehow I typed 96F2. Genius! Let's double check the hex value before fixing the checksum. Be careful not to mess up the checksum this time. Checksum good, bring up the console. Wait, what? It still doesn't work? Shutdown also doesn't work. Checksum is 100% correct this time. We need to turn the switch off and on again. No more 3 beeps, let's bring it up. Seems good. How about the shutdown command? No problem this time. But still, I need to double check the switch. Yes, no more 3 beeps. Then let's put everything back and stress test it. Haha, this console is not dead yet. PS3s are indestructible, as you can see here. Loading the firmware, and the screen is showing the main menu. Great, let's continue our stress tests. This console is now freezing cold. The CPU and the GPU temperature are still in the 40s. Even when the demo started, the temperature barely reached the 50s. And the fan speed is still at 20%. With this mod, you don't even need to Frankenstein your still breathing 90nm PS3. Just undervolt it and see how long it survives. As always, I will let it run for a long time. 3 minutes of testing is nothing. We need at least 10 hours. Oops, The moment I turned off my camera, I got yellow light of death. So 1.075 on the cell processor is still too low to be stable. It's unstable for GT6 because this game is too demanding. But it might work with other less demanding titles. Anyhow, we will increase it back to 1.1. 2 minutes in, so far so good. But by 8 minutes, the game froze. This time it looks like the RS6 problem to me, because we usually have a frozen screen when there are problems with the GPU. And it also takes forever to turn off the console. I waited for nearly a minute and I forcefully shut it down. Let's also test The Last of Us before we change the footage. I wonder what problem do we have in this game? Artifact. Did you see that? It's on the top left corner. Oops, we got another one. But the game is still running fine, at least for now. Let's go back to the room with a turning fan. I think the graphics in that room is intensive. It will be a nice location to stress test. Okay, we have a problem with the GPU. And we know what's the problem because we are the one behind it. Let's raise the GPU voltage a bit higher. 1 volt is too low for our console, so let's raise the GPU voltage a bit higher to 1.05. Again, fix the checksum and bring up the console. Wow, we have a very cool starting temperature. But remember, only after 10 minutes do we have a stable temperature, so let's fast forward. After about 15 minutes, I think we have a stable temperature. Let's compare it to the original stock temperature. I will let you decide if we have a nice temperature after undervolting. At least to me, it's quite effective. Next, we will test on GT6. Previously, we had yellow light of death about 8 minutes in. This time, the game runs for 3 hours without any problem. I continue testing the console for 8 hours. No crash, no yellow light of death. So we have a very stable undervolted console. Compared to the stock voltage, we have a much lower temperature with a lower fan speed. At the very beginning, I mentioned that the level 1 dump is also important. I'm not sure if it's always true, but look at this VID number. It's 39, right? And compare this number to the table. It's exactly the default voltage of my RS6 when the Syscon is set to FF. Maybe you don't even need to do any measurement to know your RS6 voltage. You can just look at the level 1 dump to get the default VID your console is using, and then use a lower Syscon hex number than the default value to undervolt your console. But how about the cell processor? I tried looking for it in the level 1 dump, but I couldn't find anything useful. I know many of you watching my video are very smart. If you know how to get the default value for the cell processor, let me know in a comment. To many people, undervolting is a very easy process. But to me, it takes a bit of time since it's my first time doing it and I messed up a lot of things. When I look back, it's just a 2-step process. Check the voltage your console is using. Set it to a lower value. That's it. Anyhow, I hope you still find my first time amateur experience useful. Speaking of the Excel table screwed up, I have created a fork from Felix repository. To prevent anyone falling into the same trap as I did, I saved the Excel files into CSV files. You don't need to download the Excel files anymore. You can now open the table on your browser and look at it directly. So I guess I should click this contribute button to transfer the CSV files into Felix repository. I think that is called pull request on GitHub. Also, about the answer to my hex to binary question. You can actually use a calculator to check 58 in hex is 011000 in binary. But I guess the Syscon can't even see the extra 1 here, since it can only send out 6 digits with the 6 pins. According to the table, I accidentally overvolted my console from 1.225 to 1.2625. I'm so lucky my console didn't die. Anyhow, I have to thank all the investors who donated money to help me grow my PS3 portfolio. Thanks Dino6080, Mega Macedonian Boy, and Gaite Roma. Also, many of you have the concern about the performance hit when we undervolt our console. I'm not 100% sure about the answer, but based on the games that I tested, I don't see any performance drop. When the voltage is too low, you just simply get yellow light of death, just like what I did when playing around with different voltage. So I believe as long as you don't touch the clock speed and don't underclock your console, you are fine. That's why I said undervolt is not the same as underclock. I know it's confusing, but they are entirely different. Look at me eating the meat, sending the pig to the heaven, and saying goodbye to my friend. Do you think that's a performance hit? At least I don't think so. Alright, I'm extremely exhausted right now. Good night and see you next time.